All right, joining us now as he does this time every week, Joel Klatt. And I was told to ask, Joel, is it okay to call you our quarterback? Is that fair? Are you our quarterback now?
And then you can give him a little knuckles.
I feel like that's disrespectful to Brock, isn't it?
Nothing new, though, on this show to be a little bit disrespectful to Brock. That's
okay.
Kind of part of how the show was built.
Salk, this is how it works: is Brock is your quarterback,
right?
That's right.
And I'm Gus's quarterback.
Okay,
that's right.
What's it like being Gus's quarterback?
Hey man, it's a wild ride sometimes. You just gotta buckle up.
Yeah.
You just buckle up and ride the wave.
See, I'm fortunate that way, Joel. Salk's more of after all, he was a nose tackle fullback at BB&N.
Pretty good one too. Yeah.
Gus a little more of a DB receiver type.
Yeah.
That's true.
I had
It's such a funny pairing. I love that you and Gus are together. It is a hilarious. I love it. It is.
We're very opposite.
Yeah.
And you know what though?
Felix and Oscar.
I do think that there's something to that in a broadcast. Like what he loves in a broadcast, I gravitate towards other things. We sound very different, and yet we both love what we're doing and we love the game. So from that sense, I'm very fortunate. I'm super grateful to be able to work with him. He's so good. He makes the game sound bigger. As Brock would tell you, for doing this job, really you want two things out of your play-by-play guy. And I know this is boiling it down, but you want him to make the game feel and sound bigger, and then you want him to leave the football to you. And Gus does both of those things, and that's not every play-by-play guy. There's a lot of play-by. If you're out there and you're, hoping to be a play-by-play guy, don't try to be the football expert. Just call the game. Please leave the football to us.
Mm-hmm. I was a little jelly, not going to lie to you. People have asked me a bunch of times already, Joel, this season, hey, do you miss it? Do you miss the broadcast booth? And what's it been like? And I'm like, no, I'm really consumed with what's going on with our football team here and all the hours, and it's been a blast. But I did do a little double dip on Saturday. We got a double dip this weekend with the Seahawks and Mariners. Unprecedented stuff in town. It's going to be unbelievable. We'll get to the Seahawks and Sam in a second. But I did a double dip, and I went to Montlake, and I went to Missoula. Idaho, Missoula, or Montana were playing late Saturday night. My nephew was playing for Idaho. But I got to go to the Husky game and actually popped in the booth. Saw Gary and Brad. And Damon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Damon gave Gary a nice little passing time, retirement gift, and it was awesome to see them. And Joel, the stadium was electric. It was a 12:30 kick. It was 70 degrees and sunny. The sailgating was in full regalia. It was just absolutely incredible. And really, through the first quarter plus of that game, the Huskies had ample opportunities to put some pressure on the Buckeyes, and they couldn't. What did you see?
Yeah, I saw, I saw a defense that just understands itself incredibly well, and that they were playing the long game and understood that if they just made life really difficult, didn't give up big plays, and didn't allow Williams to get out and get loose and get excited, that they were going to end up winning the game. Ohio State right now feels like the guy winning the 100-meter dash through 50 yards or meters, whatever. I just said 100-meter and then yards. Salk, you could have at it with that one. But halfway through the race, you're like, man, that guy is winning the race, but it doesn't look like he's trying to run hard. And everyone else looks like they're trying to run really hard. And yet here's Ohio State. I don't even feel like Ohio State has shifted into even fourth gear in this season. Like there's so much still on the table. They're just playing offense within themselves and then allowing that defense to just go and operate. And after the first series, Washington goes down and I'm like, okay, they got something. Like you said, the energy was incredible. It's one of the great environments in all of college football. It's an overlooked program right now nationally because I think Washington is a very good football team. And yet after that first series, I just never felt like is Washington going to be able to drive and score? And I'm like, nah, I don't think that they are. The length and speed for Ohio State at the linebacker position, and I would assume that you saw this as well. Yes. Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese are just like incredible players. And they were so fast that Washington, they didn't have anything there, and so I never got the sense after that first series, other than the fact that it was a limited possession game it was just kind of like, okay, this feels inevitable, a little bit like a boa constrictor. They're just going to continue to squeeze, play conservative on offense, win the line of scrimmage, really beat Williams down with that defensive line. Ohio State impressed me a lot because I never felt like they panicked, even though it's a 3-0 game, right before the half.
So what do you think that does for Washington now moving forward? They played well, but obviously not well enough against a top team. They go, to Maryland, I think, this weekend. Tough trip across the country. Can they use a game like that as a springboard, or do you put so much energy into that game that it's hard to kind of build it back up afterwards for your next couple opponents?
I think you have to use it as a mirror or a measuring stick. And you've got to see, here's the key to be a great team, maybe more so in college than in the NFL, but both levels, and maybe even in the high school level as well. I think that you have to have integrity. And what does that mean? Integrity in the sense that you have to be able to evaluate yourself through clear eyes and honestly, and understand where you are, where you want to go, and how you're going to get there. And for me, you got to watch that tape, and you've got to honestly say, you don't give excuses like, Jed was flying off the handle early and got that flag, even though they shouldn't have given him a sideline, penalty without a warning. Like, there were some weird things. Officiating in general is going to be bad, but what you don't want to do is just give excuses and say like, well, we're fine. Okay, so what do you need to do? Well, you need to build from here. Okay, what did Ohio State take away? And how can you combat that when you get in that scene again? I think one of the reasons why Ohio State won the national championship a year ago is because they were able to evaluate themselves and then develop and change accordingly. They changed philosophy from a defensive standpoint and a bit structure-wise because of the Oregon loss. They changed their offensive philosophy because of the Michigan loss. So you can't just say, hey, like, we're fine, we did everything, and we'll just keep going business as usual. You need to adjust. You need to understand what went wrong and why, and try to go and correct that. So this is one of the great things and aspects of college football. Like, for instance, last week I did that USC-Illinois game. And Brock, I think you would agree with this. USC's film was substantially better than Illinois. There was nothing on tape that suggested that Illinois was going to be able to beat USC. There really wasn't. Mm-hmm. I watched all of it, every snap. And yet, Illinois changed. They looked at what they were doing against Indiana. They got throttled, and they had all these guys beat up in the secondary. And yet, offensively, Barry Lunney, their offensive coordinator, he said, you know what? Our offensive line cannot go side to side. We're not athletic enough. So the stretch zone, the wide zone, and the wide zone RPO and stretch zone RPO off of that is not working. We're not impacting the defenders. We're not threatening the defenders. They're not in conflict because our offensive line is not good enough. So he changed philosophies, and he ran right at USC's defensive line. And so he called it direct runs, tried to get double teams and movement. And that change in philosophy allowed them to have success. Well, Washington needs to do something similar here, is just evaluate what went on and then try to correct some of those things from a philosophy standpoint and mistake standpoint.
I'm impressed you didn't use the integrity thing to take a shot at me for not having enough of it, because I was expecting that's where it was going to go. You got to have integrity. Not that you know anything about it, Salk. Integrity is very important in this business. So
he's taking steps, Salk. Yeah. He's taking steps. He's a kinder, he's a kind, gentler guy.
Well, it's a good.
Go ahead. Listen, you've grown on me. You've like grown on me.
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
Hey,
no, I want to spin that to Sam Darnold, Brock, if we can, because I think that's a great way of spinning to a guy that right now, I think he's done all of those things. Like, your definition of integrity there feels like a perfect way of looking at Sam Darnold. And yesterday, Daniel Jeremiah was with us. He said he's been very calm in the pocket, and I thought that was another great way of looking at Darnold. Do you think there's anything he can do during the regular season to convince people that he's legit? Because he's playing dynamite football.
Yeah, I mean, all you can do is control your own effort level, right? And go out there and play well. That's all he can do. And then when the moments arise where we're going to judge him more critically, then he needs to play well in those moments. This looks like a division that's going to be very tough and tight. It's not a division that I think anyone's going to run away with. So there's going to be massive games late in the season where he's going to have to play well. And more specifically, he's going to have to take care of the football in those games, which he was unable to do late last season. His growth, though, has been substantial from his early days in New York to what we saw last year in Minnesota, and then what we're seeing here early with Seattle. I think what's interesting for me, though, is this feels a little bit more real. And one of the reasons is because he's not the backup that came in because J.J. McCarthy got injured. Like, this feels like a team that put faith in him, and it's his team, and he's playing and acting accordingly. And I think that will help him later on. This is really, if you're being honest, this is really the first time in his career that he's had this, where it's like, okay, you're our guy. You go out there and lead our team. This is Sam's team. You know, this is not different than that. And I think that will allow him to have success in those moments, and he'll understand what the philosophy is in terms of winning that game that particular day. But I would echo what Daniel said, and Daniel's really smart. Daniel's probably the best in the business, and just in terms of evaluation. I constantly listen to Daniel about what he says, how he says it. And when he says, like, calm in the pocket, that's so important because it tells you a lot about what's going on upstairs for a quarterback. That means that the game is slow for him. He understands what he's looking at. He's comfortable with his personnel, and he's comfortable with his own structure. All of those things lead to calmness in the pocket. And when you play calm, you play on time. When you play on time, you play accurate. When you play accurate, it leads to yards after the catch. These are all dominoes in quarterback play and in football. And it stems from being comfortable with your position on the team, and then obviously taking ownership of the system and understanding what you're looking at. And he's doing all of those things. So to your point, like, he's doing everything that he can right now. There's nothing he's going to do until those moments arrive that is going to change anybody's mind or prove anybody wrong.
You know what he's doing as well, Joel? I'll just add a little cherry on top of that. He's playing the position as if he was 6'1" and 190 pounds without an arm strength. He's playing it, and you would love it. If you watched every one of his snaps, I know you've seen a bunch of them, but if you watched it, Joel, it's what you preach all the time, because you weren't the biggest or the fastest QB or the strongest arm QB. You had to play on time and on target. He is doing that as if he doesn't have the skill set, and then you watch him and you're reminded, like, oh, that's right. That's why he was taken in the top 10, because he can throw lasers from 55 yards, and he can escape, and he can throw across his body, and he does have those bullets in his holster. He just happens to play the game and is playing it right now as if he doesn't. Does that make sense?
I think it makes perfect sense. And I think what happens is, and here comes the shot, Salk, so sorry, but I think that and I don't want to be the guy that is like,
Sark, because I don't want to hear that. That's just saying I don't have any integrity. That's just another way of saying that I don't have any integrity.
It was a misspeak.
Doesn't sound like one. Sounds like a Freudian misspeak to me.
Take it for what it is. So I believe that most people that haven't played the position or aren't in it, and this is not like we played, you didn't. That's not what I'm talking about. If you didn't live it, right? What I think stands out most to people are the things that Brock was talking about that are above the X's and O's, like the top end arm strength and the outside of the X's and O's plays that you're able to make. And so a lot of times people just look at that and evaluate that, and players are drafted because of that. But what you don't understand is that it's actually a building block, because playing quarterback is a lot like math in terms of, like, you've got to master algebra 1 before you can go to algebra 2. And you've got to master algebra 2 before you can go on, and then your calculus and so on and so forth. And the further you can get along, that's great. But what we tend to do is just want calculus right away. And that's what we want to see from quarterbacks. And this is where, like, for instance, for example, I know I got to give Salk, not Sark, examples. Caleb Williams tries to play calculus way too much. And he doesn't master algebra 1. Because unless you can play on time and on target in the foundation, you're not going to be on schedule. If you're not on schedule, you're not throwing the football when you want to versus when you have to. when you have to throw the football because you have to, now you're just expected to make these insane plays, but you haven't mastered the foundational principles of the sport. So the guys that master the foundational principles and then have the talent to go up to calculus, those are the great players. Yeah. And we'll see if Sam can continue his mastery of the foundation and then take it to another level when he needs to.
Along those lines, it is fascinating. I forget which broadcast it was this year, Salk, if it was Sanchez or one of the guys said, yeah, actually Sam learned the most from Brock Purdy. Because Brock Purdy's not calculus. I've said it a bunch, right? I mean, he's maybe got the most limited RPMs.
A little more arithmetic, yeah.
Yeah, but he does it so unbelievably.
He's got those primary colors, Brock, that you were explaining yesterday.
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
hey,
but if you do that perfectly,
yeah,
that's right.
Your team can succeed. You know,
right.
But again, that's where guys like Caleb Williams struggle. And it's like, well, you won't have any consistency for your team or for your offense unless you can do the primary colors well.
It's what the kid at Ohio State is doing. It's how Ryan Day and the Buckeyes are just kind of developing him and working him into that process. Hey, you're also a baseball guy. We had great baseball stories last week. This is going to be one of the most epic weekends, truly, in Seattle sports history. We get a 1 o'clock 3-1 Seahawk team, 3-1 Buccaneers, followed by an American League Division Series against either the Guardians or Tigers, back-to-back right across the street. When you are in your hotel this time of year, I know you watch a little baseball. I know it's probably in the background.
I was watching. Yeah.
Yep, as you do your notes. You've been around the game. You're a pro yourself. So Major League Playoff Baseball is fill in the blank.
Electric. It's electric, and it's electric in the most mundane way. It's like the strategy being used on every pitch is incredible, and the urgency of every single pitch and at bat, and you see the level of concentration for the hitters and for the pitchers, the microscope that the defense is under, and all the little things that take place. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. It's incredible watching Chapman try to close out the Yankees after giving up 3 straight hits, up to in the 9th on the road, bases loaded, nobody out, and watch him go to work, and the strategy against Stanton, and then so on down I loved that. So baseball tends to bore me during the regular season, but this time of year, I think it's absolutely electric. Absolutely electric. And what I really love, by the way, is the guys that can be calm within the storm. The Freddie Freeman home run, and there's like the guys that can hit and execute in big moments, and they're looking for specific pitches in specific areas, and then they can attack. And you know what they talk about? Being on time. There's so many correlations to like quarterback play. You got to be on time in the moment in order to execute, and that's what I love about playoff baseball.
Yeah, it's so funny because it's such a different game from football in so many other ways. You can't hype yourself up into a great playoff performance in baseball. You have to calm yourself down into it.
You can't hype yourself up into great quarterback play.
No, exactly. I meant other positions on the field. I mean, defensive end can hype himself up into just a lather and get after it. But baseball is much more like a quarterback.
You were a nose tackle?
Pretty dominant in my day. Yeah, 5'10", about 170 pounds maybe in high school. Pretty dominant up front, yeah.
If you're doing a hierarchy of intelligence on the football field, the least intelligent people are the defensive tackles.
Yeah, that's why they moved me there. Yeah, I started at safety, and
do you realize that like the quarterback is out there and he's doing like a 22-piece chess game that's moving?
Yeah.
And the defensive tackle, nose guard is like right or left.
Not at DB&M.
Right or left.
No, we didn't do any of that. We just handed the ball off every single time, and quarterback never threw the ball. And all the quarterback needed to know was handoff left or handoff right, because he was just like a random dude that happened to be able to throw better than the other 25 guys on the team. It was not the way you envision high school football. Trust me. It was
defensive tackle, right or left?
Pretty much. Yeah, that's pretty, even if that at all.
Where's the strength? And by the way, they're not even asked to identify the strength. They just stand there with their hands on their hips, gasping for air. And then someone tells them from behind, they're like, left, and they're like,
and then sometimes they don't even do that. They have to like whack them into place. They have to like move
that's
their,
right. They're like,
slap their butts.
Move over a gap.
You're in
and
the
they're
wrong
like,
gap. Joel, thank you. This is a fun day today.
You got
Appreciate you. Have a good week,
Love it.
and we'll be deeply embroiled in playoff baseball when we talk next week. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
All right,
Thanks,
there you
guys.
go.
Enjoy
There's-
the weekend.
You too. There's Joel Klatt.